Welcome, everybody, and thank you for taking some time today for our DISC 2022 and Measure H virtual town hall meeting, we've called it. This is basically an information gathering session and an opportunity for both sides of the yes on H and the no on H teams to present some information as they see it, to answer questions that we have not revealed to the panelists ahead of time, and to make sure this is an equitable and impartial type of forum to help primarily the goal is to educate our downtown business owners and DDBA members on this very important citywide topic and measure coming up for vote on June 7th. So with that said, I'd like to have some self-introductions of the panelists. First, we have Matt Williams on the no on each side.
I came to Davis in 1998 and have served on 6 different city commissions and committee, the Water Advisory Committee. I was chair of the Finance and Budget Commission, Natural Resources, Utilities Commission, just to name a few, and was on the Downtown Plan Advisory Task Force. I'm now retired from all of that, and just being a 75-year-old happy resident of this wonderful community that we live in.
Thanks, man. We have Nate Young-Vanitzer on the yes on H.
Hi, good morning. My name is Nate. Been in Davis the last 20 years, currently own a business in downtown, University of Beer. Yeah.
And we have Heather Caswell on the no on H side.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I own the Wardrobe, the oldest retail establishment in our downtown in terms of consistent ownership. So I've been in business since 1988. I served on the General Plan Committee in the early 2000s. I also was on the Visioning Committee for over 15 years and worked very actively on our community's design, especially downtown. And I am the founder of the Davis Community Vision Alliance that formed over the last several years in response to growth issues.
Thanks. And we have Juliet Beck on the no on H side.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Downtown Business Association members. Thank you for hosting us. My name is Juliet Beck. I've been a mother raising my family here in Davis for the past 13 years, but I bring 30 years of experience working to defend the public interest, to protect our commons, our water, our air, our soil, our climate, and our main streets, parks, and downtown businesses in the face of unsustainable extractive economic policies. And I've been a chief advocate for just transition to a sustainable and equitable bioregional economy here in Yolo County, and was one of the founders of what is now the Yolo County Climate Action Commission, which NJ Movando is our honorable chair. And we are busy getting to the work of creating a sustainable, equitable future for future generations here in Yolo County. Thank you.
Thanks. And we have NJ Movando on the yes on H side.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone, and hi, fellow panelists. Thank you again for having us today. So my name is NJ Mvondo. I'm a Davis resident, a small business owner here. I'm the chair of the City of Davis Human Relations Commission. And as Juliet Beck mentioned, also the chair of the Yolo County Climate Action Commission. I'm serving as a consultant for DGUSD ethnic studies as well, and just overall community organizer. It's my honor to be here.
Thank you. And we have Matt Kiesling on the yes on H side.
Good morning, Brett. Thank you for having us today. My name is Matt Kiesling, and I apologize that my camera seems to have stopped working. But I am a proponent of the Measure H project and the DISC project. I've been working on this since 2014 when we responded to the City Council's request for proposals, and have participated in dozens of commission hearings and planning commission and city council meetings furthering this project for the last 6 years. I'm excited to see it come before the voters in just a week and a half.
Thank you. And with that, we will move into opening statements presentations, which means Matt Williams will be opening for the No on H side. We did a coin flip prior, and which is landing the No on H providing their opening statement first.
Okay. You've seen brief introductions of Heather and Juliet. Heather has been consistent that Measure H is bad for downtown, bad for traffic, bad for climate, and bad for Davis. One of the key reasons is, will the last farm round around Davis look like this, or will it look like this? Strongly, the message from both Heather and Juliet is, don't believe the greenwash. Do not vote yes on Measure H. Juliet is a climate champion running for the county supervisor. One of the strong points in her campaign is that this is not good for the climate or for Yolo County. And we all say no on H. There are 10 good reasons to vote no on H. It starts with traffic. There are more than 1,200 additional daily car trips from the project reported in the EIR. The EIR says significant and unavoidable delays, and all of that makes the Mace mess south of I-80 on look like a stroll in the park. Further, the EIR does not include the additional planned development projects, Palomino Place, which is currently at the planning department being reviewed. We see ads every week in the enterprise at the top. It's clear that this is moving along. Shriners is also in planning. The northern 100 acres would produce 12,000 to 13,000 more daily car trips per the 2020 EIR, and that doesn't even include Mariani and GJUSD properties inside the Mace curve. In addition, there are no firm, and I emphasize the word firm, plans to mitigate the traffic. There are suggestions of 23 improvements along the Mace corridor, but many of them, if not all of them, are subject to study, and we won't know what they're going to be until they're studied. Further, the commitments to fund them are often only for the initial funding or design funding, and with no firm completion dates in the overall project plan. Figuring it out later is not a plan. In addition, Yes on H has said that the independent study by the traffic consultant, traffic engineers, they are professionals. So they said the average intersection delay is reported in seconds per vehicle for all approaches, and that overall you would see traffic improve with the project on the Mace corridor. Well, the reality is that when you look at all four directions and you think about the current problems on the Mace corridor, the problems are all southbound. There are no problems northbound, and the east and westbound are not a problem. So what happens is the improvements, such as adding 2 northbound lanes on Mace north of Alhambra, will improve northbound traffic, which is already okay, and that improvement outweighs the serious problems that exist southbound. This is a really good picture of 23 improvements, but interestingly enough, it doesn't deal with the elephant in the room, which is the I-80 eastbound on-ramp. The ramp meter there lets one car on every 15 seconds. When it's turned on, that's 4 cars a minute. If you figure 2 lanes, that's 8 cars a minute. 8 cars a minute. When you look at the traffic study, it says they're going to add 156 additional cars turning out of the project onto southbound Mesa at Alhambra, and another 243 turning south out of County Route 32A. That's 400 additional cars. If you figure there's 8 cars per minute, that's 50 minutes of additional traffic that's going to be added. There isn't any way that the southbound problems are going to be resolved when Caltrans controls those metered ramps. All of that traffic creates unmitigated greenhouse gas emissions. This is really important, but not central to the Downtown Business Association. The project will make the housing shortage in Davis worse. This says it will bring just under 2,500 new jobs to Davis, but only provide 460 residents. That means that the current Davis housing shortage will be worse by 2,000 people looking for jobs. And the financial analysis that the city put together projects only 187 of the project residents will be assumed to work on site. Now, what's really important to this group is that this will cannibalize existing downtown and local businesses. According to the EI, hundreds of thousands of square feet of existing Davis retail are at risk of vacancy due to competition. It adds $1.3 million worth of additional million square feet of additional space. And 80,000 square feet of that is in more retail. A quick calculation, if you figure the average small retailer in downtown has about 800 square feet, give or take, that's 100 small retail shops that they're talking about adding to at DISC, which is going to act as a gravitational pull of customers away from downtown. This isn't the first time that the downtown business people have been under assault. I'm old enough to have watched Rocky and Bullwinkle and Sherman and Mr. Peabody and the Wayback Machine. Back in 1986, 70 downtown businesses supported the citizen effort to stop the shopping mall going into Central Park. They didn't want franchise or corporate businesses as competition, and those are the kinds of businesses that are likely to go into DISC. Davis needs to be proactive and create a publicly shared economic development plan with solid information about not only the physical supply of commercial space, but also the demand for that space that may come from various segments of the national economy that want to be close to UCD. That we need to work with landlords to modify their vacant space and bring properties up, and that will build jobs close to and in the downtown, customers for the downtown business. We have space in the downtown. It's there and available now. What we want is to achieve this kind of walking environment with a lot of customers. What we also have is a problem, and I have 30 seconds, so I'm going to go through these fast. The projections are very optimistic. They only do a best case scenario. The Finance and Budget Commission said we should have a best and a worst case scenario, but the city did not do that. I'm not saying that the 770,000 deficit, if you had all of these scenarios happen that are bad, it's now more likely than the 3.88 million that's up at the top. Why is it so important for the city to suppress and hide the less than best case scenarios that the FBC requested and the consultant delivered? Other reasons, quickly, we have a history of city and council not putting the concerns of Davis citizens first. We are going to lose critical farmland and habitat. A yes vote gives the developer lucrative entitlements. They purchase the land for $5,000 an acre. That's $500,000, and it will become immediately worth $25 to $50 million. The scale of the park is much too large for a small college town. We have endorsements from No on Measure H. It's bad for downtown, bad for traffic, bad for climate, bad for Davis. And we will have questions after Matt Kiesling does his. And I went 8 minutes, so I apologize for being over a minute.
Thank you very much. And we will now, if you could stop sharing screen, then we will have.
There we go.
There we go, perfect. All right, Matt Kiesling, are you presenting for Yes on Age?
I am. Thank you for the opportunity. Can you all see this?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for the chance to come here and explain the benefits of Yes on Measure H and why it will be beneficial, not only to the city of Davis as a whole, but also to the downtown businesses and companies that we support in the downtown market. I think everybody's more or less seen the overall messaging for why Yes on H will be beneficial for the city. We've indicated that it will combat climate change, that it will create a carbon-free community using 100% renewable energy, deliver more housing and affordable housing for the next generation of Davisites, that it will restore and improve native habitats and permanently preserve farmland at an unprecedented scale. It'll create STEM jobs and internship opportunities. It will expand the greenbelt systems, walking paths, create safe connections. Yes on H builds upon the amazing research taking place at UC Davis and allows businesses generated by that research to grow here locally. And I think more important for downtown Davis, Yes on H delivers $2 million for the South Davis Library and Community Center. It generates conservatively $3.6 million annually for the city's general fund. And it creates an estimated $2.3 million in ADA funds and $700,000 in taxes for Davis Joint Unified School District annually. These are major commitments that are going to be a benefit to the community as a whole. So what would Yes on Measure H do? Yes on Measure H would approve the Davis Innovation and Sustainability Campus of 2022. And I wanted to quickly show you what that looks like. We are talking about 550,000 square feet of office, R&D, and laboratory space, as well as 550,000 square feet of advanced manufacturing. These are not 800 square foot buildings or 3,500 square foot of office. This is major office, laboratory, and manufacturing, similar to what you see on 2nd Street adjacent to I-80, where you have Schilling Robotics, where you have Morisaki, where you have now FMC just purchased a new facility and is intending to expand here locally in Davis, thanks to the applicants that are proposing this project. And what we've experienced on 2nd Street is a large demand from companies that desire to be close to UC Davis, that are tied to the research that's occurring at UC Davis, and they want to stay in Davis. The only problem is once they grow to a certain size, there's no space available for them to stay in Davis. And so they start looking in Vacaville. They start looking in Sacramento. They start looking in West Sacramento, and they leave Davis, and the jobs that they created and the tax revenue that they generate leave Davis along with them. DISC will be an opportunity for the city of Davis to retain those jobs and grow those companies for the benefit of the entire economy. So I think you just heard multiple points from the No on H committee that we will respond to if that's all right. And those points would be, 1, that this is greenwashing. 2, that somehow the project will have a drain on downtown and the downtown businesses and economy. And 3, that the traffic is unmitigated with no firm commitments. So let me start with greenwashing. This project that you see before you today has made commitments to energy sustainability unlike any that I've ever seen, unlike any that we can be shown an example of in the state of California. Every structure is required to have photovoltaics placed on them, is required to utilize 100% renewable energy, meaning all of the energy that we don't create on the site, we purchase from VCE's Ultra Green program, meaning every bit of electricity that's utilized on site is from a sustainable source. In addition to that, the buildings themselves are all electric. Our housing is all electric, no natural gas. Our even commercial facilities have an all electric building shell, meaning that if they have a use inside that requires gas, say a laboratory that needs gas, they can have it. But for the heating and cooling of the systems, that is all electric using all renewables. We have the ability to have battery storage on site. And we have just recently had UC Davis come out and say that the train heating and cooling system that would be a systems-wide program that we would utilize on the site would have considerable benefits from sustainability and result in an overall 12% reduction in carbon emissions from the site. Put simply, this is the greenest facility of its type that would exist in the state, if not the nation. And what an awesome opportunity for Davis to be an example for the rest of this state, to be an example for the rest of the country on how to do something like this and do it right and do it in a way that's sustainable. Second, with respect to a drain on downtown, there seems to be a misconception that the site is going to be full of retail that's going to pull people away. Let's be clear that this is not going to be a new mall that is going to pull people away from downtown. There is a maximum of 80,000 square foot of retail on site, with the largest retail permitted 25,000 square feet. There's also a firm commitment that this retail will only be intended to serve the needs of those living and working on site. Likely that means food, coffee, childcare, perhaps a fitness center, right? Things that if I work on site and I'm busy at my desk and I only have time to slip out for a second and buy a sandwich and then I'm going back to my desk to keep working, that's the type of users we have here, so that people don't have to hop in their cars and drive off site. It's also an environmental benefit to have that. But in no way is that competition for downtown. The retail is not intended to pull people into the site. It's simply intended to provide convenient locations for those on site to have some amenities so they don't have to leave every single day. And I think just to clarify as well, your typical Togo's is about 1,800 square feet, Jamba Juice 1,500. So you won't have a lot of micro units here that are going to be commercial. I've also heard this is going to be a major retailer. Just to put it in perspective, Target across the street is 130,000 square feet. One building, 130,000. We're talking about 80,000 total in a center that's going to create 2,400 jobs. So it's not going to be actually a drain on downtown. In fact, what the analysis tells us is that at build out, DISC is going to have approximately 2,400 residents that live there with annual compensation of 200 million. This is people that are going to be making good salaries and are going to be looking for places to spend that money. Additionally, 460 homes that will house roughly 1,000 Davisites. These are new customers. This is a new customer base that on a regular basis will be coming in to downtown Davis on the electric shuttle that we provide that goes from the site to Amtrak to UC Davis and back out to the site on a loop all day long. People that will ride into downtown to get their lunches, to have their happy hours, to do shopping during the lunch hour while they need to get a gift for that night. The analysis tells us that business to business spending within the city of Davis is approximately $50 million annually. And annual spending in Davis from DISC residents and employees is $8.8 million of new spending locally. And don't take it from me, this is from the EPS analysis itself. I think you can see that annual taxable sales from new homes, you can see new homes at build out and how much is estimated total annual taxable sales off site, not on our site, 5 million off the site, as well as annual taxable sales from new employees, estimated taxable sales off site, $3.6 million annually. So again, these are new dollars that are going to be flowing into the Davis economy. Next, it was
10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Next, it was stated that we have unmitigated traffic. I will say that the traffic is mitigated. The County Board of Supervisors and the council unanimously supported an MOU that not only states that we absolutely will build all these improvements, we will build them concurrent with the project. And the traffic analysis shows that with these mitigations in place, we can adequately mitigate for our traffic impacts and in fact be an improvement on Mace Boulevard compared to what it would be in 10 years if the project is not built. So
Thanks,
again,
Matt. We'll go ahead and continue with other questions now, and more details, of course, can come forward at that time. Thank you. If we could go ahead and stop sharing screen, we will start into the questions and answers here. Since No went first, with the opening statement. We are starting with, we are going with yes, starting to answer the first question, and then we'll have the opportunity to answer the same question. So project developers stated they listened to the concerns of voters after the project's first failed attempt when it was narrowly defeated at the polls. Is the new project any different from the first version other than being scaled back? Yes on H. Who would you like to respond to this? And once start, we will start timing. You have 2 minutes.
I'd be happy to take this one, Brett. I think the question is, no on H was narrowly defeated in 2020. How is the project different other than being scaled back? I would start with, first of all, scaling it back. What was a major change to the project? What we heard overwhelmingly in 2020, in which we were just narrowly defeated, was that there was a good amount of concern that this was too large and out of scale with Davis. At now 50% of the size of the prior project, we believe that this is now right-sized, it's Davis-sized, and still allows us space to grow for the next decade. But in addition to that, the commitments that have been made this time through with respect to agricultural preservation have been increased considerably. The commitments made with respect to sustainability have been increased considerably. And we believe that the changes that are being made with respect to how we will heat and cool the facility are only making it more environmentally sustainable and a better project as a whole for the city of Davis.
Great. And no on H, who would like to take this? If you need us to reiterate the question, let me know.
Juliet, you're our fearless leader.
Yeah, do either one of you want to take it?
I'll take it. The reality is that the project isn't scaled down from the residents' perspective. What has happened is that the California laws have been gamed so that anything that is outside a 10-year window doesn't get counted from a traffic perspective. So all of that future traffic is still in line. The original project had a 25-year build out. This one has a 12-year build out. It's really the same project. It's just a game to have only half the traffic counted in the numbers. If it truly was a half-size project, then the northern 100 acres would be the logical land to put into agricultural mitigation and take off the table completely going forward.
Thank you. So we will have no on H go first on this next question. A major item of debate is whether the proposed retail space to be made available at DISC will help or hurt downtown Davis businesses. It is described as ancillary retail to primarily serve the need of the development's residents. Please provide your viewpoint on the issue.
Do you want to take that one, Heather, as our business owner?
Hi there. Yes. We need to focus our attention on our downtown and building it back. We have a downtown plan that hasn't been given time or energy because of the distraction of this project. And we're all trying to do our best to keep our businesses alive and vibrant. And again, the distraction component of focusing retail and other types of businesses would definitely not serve this community.
Thank you. And for the yes on H side, and again, anytime, let me know if you need the question.
I'll take this one. So I own a business in downtown Davis. I've been doing business the last 20 years in downtown Davis. And the problem that we have right now is we don't have enough demand. We don't have enough customers who's coming to shop or spending money. So with all the extra jobs that will create it, I believe people will come to spend more money in downtown, and that's going to help all the businesses, restaurant, bars, retails. You know, if there's 2,400 jobs, there's good amount of people that will come to downtown to spend the money on them.
Thank you. And we'll move on to the next question with yes answering first. Do you feel there are certain existing business sectors that DISC will help or harm throughout the city of Davis, and why?
NJ, do you want to take this one, or would you like me to go for it?
I'll let you go for it. Thank you.
Matt, actually, can I answer this one really quick?
Sure.
So, you know, I'm in restaurant and bar business, and I can tell you from my experience, big facility like Chilling Robotics, or what is the big manufacturer company on 2nd Street again?
DMG Mori.
Yeah, correct. DMG Mori. They actually use restaurant like us to provide lunch for their employees. And they they're giving us to provide lunch that in 100, 200 of their employees on a weekly basis. So that actually giving us a lot of revenue from those facilities. So in terms of how much it would help from the restaurant and bar side, it helped us greatly. And we've been doing business with DMG Mori Saki the last few years. So yeah.
If I could just elaborate too, I think that's a great point, Nate, but I don't think it's just limited to the restaurant and bars. You know, we have huge sectors across the board of startups and innovators in Davis that are companies that have really amazing technology, that are growing and want space. And keeping that is important, not just for those companies, but for the companies like the restaurants and bars that benefit from their presence, as well as nonprofits that benefit from having well-heeled corporate sponsors located in town. So I think you're going to see a benefit for businesses across the board.
Thank you. And just a reminder, if people put themselves on mute if they're not speaking, that could really help. Okay, so we'll move on. No will be answering first.
Do we answer the same question? Don't we respond to the question?
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be happy to respond to this. I appreciate this question because it gets at what kind of vision do we want for our community moving forward for our economic development strategy? Do we see ourselves as being tied and hinged to a business park that is part of the old economy? It's a dinosaur economy based in obsolete, currently not even available technologies. We don't know who's going to move in there. Since the pandemic, the nature of work has changed dramatically. What we've realized is that people are very productive working from home, and the type of businesses that in communities that people want to live in are green and surrounded by green space, particularly farming and agriculture and gardening. This project has none of that sense of circular economy building. We're giving up an opportunity for Yolo County to be the center for a new economy, to attract businesses and attract visitors. I think our best vision for Yolo County is to attract visitors through our tourism, ecotourism industry, knowing that we are at the center for sustainability. And this is why UC Davis has been lukewarm on this project at best. They have a giant research and development park, okay? It's called UC Davis. So I'm concerned that draining and creating a new downtown, a new whole center based in an old technology model, old development model, which Tykert and the developers that are represented on this call have been invested in, which is taking us off the cliff to an unsustainable future, taking us off the cliff to extinction. If you look at what's happening with our greenhouse gas emissions and the impacts on our water, on our soil, on our climate, this is a time to be really thinking innovatively and thinking about the type of economy we want to build in the future, which is going to be resilient, and it's going to be based in a model of local, small development, local, small, community businesses that are oriented around creating local markets for local products.
Thank you very much. And I now have my checkoff list more organized in the order of here, so I won't be skipping anybody. Next question. The language of Measure H states the retail uses at DISC shall be limited to support commercial uses, and that said uses shall not compete with the downtown and or neighborhood shopping centers and shall be appropriately limited in size to achieve this objective. How is this going to be analyzed and determined? So no on H to go first.
I'll take that one. Like so many of the things, like many of the traffic improvements, it's, well, we'll study it. We'll take a look at it. The hotel operators have said there isn't enough demand now to fill up our existing hotels. And there's a commitment in the EIR that a demand study will be coming forward in order to justify it. So we don't even know if there's going to be a hotel. Same thing is going to be true with regard to the businesses. But as Jonathan said in our preparation call, if you take 80,000 square feet and you have 800 square feet for these small service-oriented businesses, that's 100 small businesses serving these people. You're clearly going to create a magnet that is going to keep people there. Nate, I want them to come down and have a beer at UOB. I want them to sit next to me and have a beer at UOB. Why are they going to do that? And when you have the financial analysis says only 187 of the employees are actually going to work on site, you're going to have over 2,200 of those employees who are living outside of the project, who are going to go home to Sacramento, to West Sac, to Woodland, to Vacaville. They're not going to come downtown to spend their money. They're going to spend it in their home community.
Thank you. And yes on H response?
Yeah, we hear repeatedly that there's no firm commitments, but it's without citation. If I could just quickly show you, this is in the development agreement, which is a contract. It's a firm commitment. It's a contractual obligation with the city of Davis and the citizens of Davis. And what this says is, prior to occupancy of any retail space, the developer will demonstrate that the proposed ancillary retail will not exceed the anticipated demand increase generated by the project employees and residents. If the analysis demonstrates that the proposed amount of ancillary retail space is outpacing employee and residential generated demand, then that retail use shall be scaled back to be commensurate with the project demand or omitted. The city is basically requiring us to submit an economic analysis proving that the site itself generates the demand for the uses, or we shall not have them. I don't know how you get a more firm commitment than that to demonstrate that you're not going to be a drain on downtown community or downtown businesses.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. Yes on H going first. Have you heard whether or not DISC developers in the city of Davis will work collaboratively with the DDBA on enhanced transportation to and from downtown, and whether or not business owners will have a voice in which retail establishments are to be allowed at DISC? Matt, if you're speaking, you're on mute. I'm not sure. There we go.
Sorry, was this for us or them first?
Yes, first.
NJ, do you want to try to take this one or?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in. There are some very specific and technical details that I won't have, and Matt will be the best person to share on that. But this is an opportunity for me to share that one of the reasons I'm supporting this project is actually for the improvement on our public transportation system, which I believe will be beneficial to downtown. So this project comes with, the developers have consulted with Amtrak, Eurobus, Unitrans to come up with the 23 improvement projects that are attached to the project, to this. So one of the things I'm most excited about is the creation of an express transit lane using an electric shuttle going not just from the DIS project, but from that part of town to the train station, to downtown, and to campus. So facilitating an easier transportation to downtown using public transportation, I believe will be good for all businesses. Another thing I want to say is that the reason there is a vote on June 7th is precisely also for public input. And the public input isn't just facilitated on that day. At any time, we have the ability to reach out to our city council to provide input, and not just to public comments. Yes on Age campaign, which is in partnership with the developers, have been very open also in welcoming feedback, suggestion. And overall, I believe we're all trying to keep this a transparent process, including on the non-Age side. So my short answer to your question is yes, downtown business owners won't just have the opportunity to provide input throughout the process, but they're actually invited to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And no on H response?
Heather, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
Go ahead and take it.
I'm happy to as well.
Yeah, Juliet, do you want to?
Go ahead, Juliet.
Sure,
You
sure.
go ahead.
I think the transportation issues are absolutely critical to this. And as a mother, I moved to Davis and I live in Davis because what I appreciate about Davis is it's a bikeable community. And my children bike back and forth to school every day. I bike to downtown. But we know from traffic demand studies is that, and traffic studies is that the farther out you are from the downtown core, the less people are going to bike. So this is a very much an auto-dependent project. I'm very concerned about the idea that kids would try to bike across Mace Boulevard and the whole I-80 intersection there to try to get to Pioneer Elementary. But we're talking about transit into downtown. First of all, the City of Davis should be using its developer fees right now to fund this kind of electric transportation, these shuttles. If we were going to do that, we should have done it for the cannery. The cannery is a perfect example where people are not able to access downtown unless they're, they could bike, but they're usually not driving to downtown from the cannery. So we could have electric shuttle that would be modeled right now and be used right now. But unless it's in the baseline agreement, whatever is going into this development agreement, I don't trust, because I've seen so many broken promises from developers. I absolutely don't trust that just because it's in writing in this piece of paper in front of us, it's not a given contract with an anchor tenant that is going to guarantee something with an anchor tenant. That's a guaranteed contract. This is a piece of writing. It's a piece of paper that you can go back to the city council with in a couple of years and saying conditions have changed. We didn't get enough income here. We didn't get enough income there. We can't fulfill this promise. And that's what happens over and over again in the city, and why we've lost faith in developers like what's being pushed for this project down our throats. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will now move on to the next question, with no on H going first. One of the major arguments being made against DISC is that there is a lot of commercial space already available throughout Davis that research and development companies could utilize. How do you view the argument that a focus on infill should take priority over new development?
I'll jump in on that one. The problem that we have in Davis is that we really have some long-term vacancies in which the landlords don't feel that they have any incentive to be able to make their space match the demands of the marketplace. So what has happened is that when a organization like Inventopia, Tim Keller, great organization, is looking to do greater space, there just isn't turnkey ready and available space. Well, the reality is that with this, there isn't turnkey and available space either. They're going to have to go and build it. We should have a proactive economic development plan led by our government and our private sector, people like the local business members who are in DDBA, and be doing the things to be able to transform those vacant spaces into space that will support those businesses, and then they will already be very close to or in downtown to be able to go over and have a beer at UOB instead of catching an electric shuttle down and then going back to work.
Thank you. And yes, on H?
I think it's safe to say that everybody thinks that infill development is probably the top priority and should be the top priority for the city. Filling vacant spaces is important. And we by no means would disagree with that statement. What we are proposing to construct with Yes on H is not designed for the types of businesses that would fill those smaller infill sites. It's designed for companies that have already been in sites that big, that are looking for an opportunity to grow their business, that need customized space, that construct equipment or processes that need unique and tailored space to do it. For example, Schilling Robotics creates underwater exploration devices. They need a swimming pool. You don't have that in your infill space. You actually need a deep pool to test submarines, right? That is the type of space we're talking about creating, where you have a 4,000-foot laboratory or an R&D space with actual manufacturing equipment inside. So simply preferring to look at infill, which we all think is a priority and needs to remain a priority for downtown Davis, doesn't mean that you can't also have space to grow the existing unique businesses that you have in town that are looking for additional room and space. And if I could too, I do want to say that there's sort of that assertion we heard earlier that this type of development is no longer needed, that it's a dinosaur. One of the changes we made, Brett, was that we did shift away from office space, which used to be 2/3 of the project site under the prior version, and is now 50-50 with advanced manufacturing. Because while we have seen post-COVID a reduction in demand for office, the demand for laboratories, R&D, and advanced manufacturing has gone through the roof. And so we did make that shift. It is not obsolete. The demand for this center is high, and studies from across the nation would show you that. So I don't think that supporting Measure H needs to mean that you don't support infill. In fact, it's important that you support both.
Thank you. And we'll move on to the next question. One of the major arguments being made in support of DISC is a positive financial impact it does have on the city of Davis and a major boon to the economy. Do you agree with the economic analysis, and why?
Which side is going first?
Yes is going first.
Nate, do you want to take this one?
Yes, I can take this one. So again, on a business side for downtown Davis, having R&D facility that this gonna be having is gonna be able to retain a lot of the student in Davis that graduated from UC Davis to stay in town. As of right now, we are not providing any jobs for the student that graduating from Davis. So they're going to school at UC Davis. When they're done, they go to another city. They don't stay local because they don't stay in town, even though they love the city, but because there's no job. With this project, it will create jobs. They're gonna be able to stay in town, live in town, and then spend the money in town, in downtown. They've been here for 4 years. If they stay in town, they're gonna go back to the same restaurant, bars, retails that they've been spending money the last 4 years. So it's gonna create a very good beneficial for all the businesses in downtown. We don't need to go out and find new customer from other city. We can, we can generate revenue from the people that actually live in town instead of hoping for people that coming to town to visit downtown to spending money in downtown. Yep.
Heather, do you want to take that as someone who frequently employs graduates and students here at UC Davis?
Boy, it's a complicated subject, and I appreciate your your interpretation of things, Nate. And I remember when we put the Department of the department down on 5th and what is it, G Street, thinking we would get more professionals feeding our downtown. And I remember being supportive of that project, but this is so much more complicated. We have a downtown plan that we spent $2 million creating that we're not putting focus on and attention on. And we have parking issues that we really need to be addressing. And there's so much that can be done to enhance what we currently have. And to me, this project is a distraction. And again, it's all about money for developers.
Thank you. So no on H will go first. The next question. How DISC will affect our city's vehicular traffic, especially in East Davis, is a hot topic. Downtown Davis is also a popular stop for people traveling along Interstate 80. Will DISC help alleviate existing traffic issues, create more congestion, or make little to no impact? And why, in your opinion?
Matt, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. The reality is that the answer is with one word, Caltrans, run-on word. Not DISC, neither DISC nor the city nor the county have any control of the exits and entrances on I-80. All that Caltrans cares about is that the through traffic is not disrupted by cars getting on or getting off at the entrances and exits. And one of the things that you see is that there's enough distance between the Mace ramp and the downtown ramp that those two really are two worlds apart. That's why we say you're not going to see customers that are going to go from Mace to downtown at the end of the day in order to go get a beer. They're going to have to fight an immense amount of traffic in order to do that. So the reality is that places like Palo Alto have a really robust local economy because the daily population is 100,000 people more than the nighttime population. You succeed in retail by serving and by capturing other people's money, not just the money inside. And we have 7,000 students who graduate every year. Nate, are we going to create $7,000 jobs a year in order to keep those students? You're being idealistic, but you're not looking at the reality of the problems that we have with the cost of housing. When a student graduates, where are they going to find a rental place? Because UCD students are grabbing up all the rentals. Translating your dream into reality is impossible. The highways are not going to help it out, Brett, in terms of getting more business as a result in downtown as a result of the DISC project.
Thank you. And the S side?
I just say, first off, I want to start by agreeing with Matt. The traffic problem in Davis is I-80, right? I mean, I think everybody understands the majority of traffic that we experience on a daily basis is cut through traffic. It's people trying to get around the bottleneck that they see on I-80. And until Caltrans takes that on, I don't know that there's a fix, period. I do know that the Mace interchange is one of the nicest ones in town. And the way that it was completed is with developer dollars. It was done when Mace Ranch was developed, and it was done as mitigation for that project. Similarly, this project is required to mitigate for its impacts, and it will bring close to $30 million for traffic improvements at that location. Without the project, the traffic keeps coming, cut through traffic keeps coming to avoid I-80, but there are no improvements because there are no dollars. So I see that as a problem. I also wanted to respond just to what Matt said though too, which is we shouldn't be building this project because economies don't succeed based upon having residents and workers here. We should capture people cutting through town. To me, that's ludicrous. That's a reason why you should never do anything else that allows growth within the city of Davis. And you should just hope to pull people in off of the freeway. That doesn't sound environmentally sustainable or environmentally friendly. Similarly, I don't think you should say because we can't save all of the students that go through UC Davis and offer them a job, we shouldn't try to offer any of them a job. We should do the best we can with what we have and what's before us. This project is an example of what we can do to proactively try to make a better future in Davis, generating dollars for the businesses, generating dollars for the city, getting traffic improvements, and creating jobs and housing.
Brett, if it's possible at the end, I think I have some very good points on that subject.
You'll have two, yeah, you'll have 2.5 minutes and a closing statement.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so we will move on to next question with yes going first. Is the DISC project going to help alleviate issues with Davis's housing crisis? Please provide your thoughts on the issue.
Is it okay if I go on that, Matt and Kate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my answer to that question is an absolute yes. And this isn't just coming from what I read regarding the DISC project and the numerous studies, but it's also coming from my various conversations with community members, with students and graduate students and postdocs and people doing research who, after they're done with their degrees, after they're done with their research, after the postdoc degree is over, would like to stay in Davis. So UC Davis has an amazing entrepreneurship center. We have many graduate students, people working at UC Davis, actually creating their own company and wanting to stay in Davis, but housing is a huge problem. The moment they would like to stay, they need, lab space, research space, but in addition to that, they would like to raise their family here, and the cost of our housing is preventing that. Another thing to keep in mind is that our school district has been losing about 100 students every year. That is a loss of about $1 million. And that means that we have families living Davis. And one of the reasons is because, once again, they reach a point where they say that cost of housing, especially, is too high for them in order to maintain living there. Another thing, and this is, again, primary account, because I'm being referred to sometimes by people who are being interviewed to work here in Davis and at UC Davis specifically, and have questions about, again, living here. And this is one of my hats as Human Relations Commission member. And what I hear afterward from the people who interview them is that even though the job was offered to them, the reason they ended up declining it was housing. So one thing, DISC is bringing about 86 affordable units. We badly need affordable housing in Davis. Being able to provide more housing will be good, not just for the overall economy of the city, but also to the economy of our downtown businesses. I want to emphasize, and I'm almost done, Brett, I don't want to go over my time, that downtown Davis is so unique. It's part of the heart of our identity. We literally have people coming to Davis to want to spend their money in Davis, coming to the farmers market, because downtown has so much to offer. So what I want to say is that being able to offer more housing means that we'll be able to bring in a certain demography, more families, and in return, that will be very beneficial to downtown activities and Pulse as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And no?
I'm happy to go. Yeah. Or did you want that one, Heather?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad to be able to talk about housing, because that's why we're even having this conversation, because Measure JR is designed to give people the vote, give the public the vote to approve annexing farmland in order to provide workforce housing. That is the #1 priority of JR projects. And like most of our problems right now, what's happened is there's been a lack of leadership at the city council level in actually solving and addressing our affordable housing crisis. They're approving massive projects like West Davis Active Adult Community, which is geared towards seniors. They approved the Cannery Project with not very much affordable housing that was not fully built out yet. And that was filled with a lot of Bay Area people. And now we've got 100 acres of farmland with only 85 units of affordable housing. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is an insult to our affordable housing problem. We have much better solutions, that I've been promoting, people in Davis and young people and people who live here and are working here and are going to school here, they want to live in community-oriented housing. They want to be able to afford housing that doesn't require them to work for a corporation, to slave for a corporation in order to live in California. And the solutions are tiny home ecological communities that allow people to live on a smaller carbon footprint, shared resources, shared communities, surrounded by green land, surrounded by farmland, to sequester carbon in the land. And regenerative agriculture is the most important issue that Yolo County can provide as a solution to the climate crisis. It is the main focus of our Climate Action Commission right now, is talking about how we're going to transition our agricultural system to regenerative agriculture. And when I drive down that Mace curve, what I see is a showcase for regenerative agriculture and a small tiny home community that's actually going to get at the root of the problem, which is a lack of affordable housing. 85 units is not going to solve the problem when you're actually creating a business park that's going to have, if it even succeeds, is going to have way more employees than you actually have housing for on site. It's going to increase the demand for housing in Davis, and it's not addressing our supply problem, and it's certainly not addressing our affordability problem. So I really think that we need to think much more innovatively about our affordable housing crisis and start to build the co-housing. Village homes is a place that's always in demand. Co-housing places like Pinos and Muir housing complexes are where people want to live. That's the housing for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and this leading into the last question prior to closing statements, with no going first. How would you describe the environmental impact of the DISC project?
Is that us? No on H first?
Yes.
Do either one of you want to talk about it? I've just been talking, so I'm happy to continue.
Go for it.
Okay.
I like your fieriness.
Yes, I'm on a roll here. So the environmental impact of DISC. We are in an epic drought with no end in sight. And speculation means that there's a new gold rush. It's called the blue gold rush going on right now for our water supply. All across Yolo County, the aquifer has dropped 10 feet from last year. 150 wells went dry. We are in a crisis of epic proportions when it comes to water. We cannot afford another sprawling development on the outside of town that could be water intensive and drain and add another drain to our aquifer. Number one, we've already been talking a lot about the auto dependence. There's 2,000 parking spaces in this development, 2,000. You're telling me that it's not going to increase our greenhouse gas emissions and our transportation problems? We have a solution to too many cars on I-80. It's called stop driving cars. We've got to get people out of their cars, okay? If we build another freeway and expand the freeway, it's an invitation. It's a green light to keep driving our cars. We have a relationship in California where the half of the Amazon crude from the Amazon comes to refineries in California, which means that 1 in 9 gallons of gas comes directly from the Amazon and is complicit in the destruction of the Amazon, which is the lungs and the heart of our planet, driving weather patterns for the entire planet. So to me, this development, this auto-centric development, is so irresponsible when it comes to acknowledging our historic greenhouse gas emissions. I'd love to know what percentage of greenhouse gas emissions is Tykert and their developments responsible for, because they have an obligation now to get us off fossil fuels and stop building these kind of developments that are taking us off the cliff to extinction. I don't think people realize what a level of civilizational crisis we're in, and that we need to think and build our land, use our land more wisely. We can transition off fossil fuels in a sustainable way that allows people to have an inclusive and healthy future, but it's not with these types of mega development projects with this level of uncertainty and the massive environmental impact that they have on our planet.
Thank you, Julie. Yes on H.
Brett, I'd like to share this one with NJ. And NJ, if you don't mind, I'll go first and let you follow it up. And we'll go quickly. I just want to say, while I appreciate the picture that Ms. Beck paints, I want to point out that the city of Davis on a per capita basis actually has a higher vehicle miles traveled than anyone else in the region. The primary reason for that is that Davis doesn't have enough jobs. Primarily, your major employer is UC Davis, and other family members travel outside of Davis for work. They travel into downtown Sacramento or the Bay Area on a daily basis. If you would like to reduce the dependence upon cars, create more jobs locally so that people have an opportunity to get a good job in Davis, and then they don't have to commute over the Causeway or to the Bay Area on a daily basis. As for the rest of the commitments, again, I just want to reiterate that we believe this will be the most sustainable innovation center anywhere in the country. We have made strong commitments, including the top one, that DISC will achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. This is a baseline project feature. When you vote yes on Measure H, this becomes binding. The voters make this a binding commitment on the developer. These are baseline project features: to be 100% clean energy, to utilize an ultra green program with 100% renewables. There is not another business or innovation center in the nation that has made commitments to this degree. NJ, you want to take it from there?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Matt.
45 seconds. Just
okay, I'll be very quick. I think this is a really good time to remind that not just DISC will have every parking spot on site with an EV level 2 charger. Also keeping in mind California mandates, by a certain date for us to stop using fossil fuel powered energy. And again, I want to emphasize electric shuttle, the design, everything is designed for people to use public transportation as much as possible and then transition to electric vehicle. I was yesterday at the city council meeting when they were reviewing the climate action plan for the city, and DISC actually checks several of the requirements that will help our city transition to a greener level of life. And I guess my time is off, but I want to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that now moves us into closing statements. I think we opened with no, and we will start the closing statements with yes on. You have 2.5 minutes for closing statements.
I'll take this one. So again, I just want to focus on that this project will provide 2,400 new jobs. And those are potential new customers for our businesses. I have, University of Beer in Davis. I started it in 2012. Now I have 6 locations throughout the whole Sacramento region. And one thing that I see that is different from the Davis location and the other 5 is we don't have any young professional that come into my Davis location. Vacaville, Sacramento, Roseville, Rockland, Folsom, all does have young professional. That's because we don't have jobs for them. In return, we don't get the business. 30% of my current employees in the next 2 months, the end of August, they're moving away from Davis because they do not have jobs in Davis. So they're done with school and they're gone. 30%. That's costing a lot for the business owner like me to retrain people, to find new employees. So what I believe in the business is we just got to give ourselves an opportunities to win the business, from customers. But as of right now, if we're not doing this project, we're not going to have the 2,400 new jobs. And that's not giving us an opportunities to win the business from them at all. So, that's something that I believe is going to be great because we're going to get young professional. They have more spending power than any age group, the young professional, because they don't own a house, they don't own a car, they don't have kids yet, so they can spend all the money on entertainment in downtown, spend all the money, excess money on retail shopping for clothing, going out eating, do all the fun stuff in downtown. And that's what we need in downtown Davis. We need more customer. We need more of them to come and spend money in our businesses in downtown.
Thank you. And for the closing statement for no.
I'm going to share screen. I'm going to do the first 45 seconds and then I'll turn it over to Juliet. First, the point that Matt made about it being carbon neutral, over 80% of the carbon that's going to be made from this project is going to be from transportation. The positives of making the buildings green is really easy, but the only way they're going to offset the transportation is buying greenhouse gas credits. That's not truly getting to carbon neutral on the project. We also feel that there are ways to achieve everything that Nate just said without doing this project. You end up with need a commitment to an active collaborative regional planning with the city, UCD, and DJUSD, leveraging our current strengths. Matt, we're not bringing other people transporting themselves to Davis for a special trip. You have 110,000 people, families who apply to undergraduate studies every single year. Nothing is done to have those people, when they come for a campus visit, stay and buy a beer at UOB and stay for another night at the hotel and the like. We end up in a situation where there are lots of opportunities to leverage our current strengths. So I'm going to turn it over to Juliet now. Let me end sharing and go, Juliet.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, this project feels way too much to me like a field of dreams. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. This idea that we have all these students that need jobs. We actually have a great employer right here in town. It's called UC Davis, and they're doing a great job of employing postgraduates on campus. The Research Center for Transportation is a great example out at West Village. They're bringing in huge grants to keep local jobs in our community from UC Davis students. Everything else is hypothetical. And once again, I'm going to say this is an age of uncertainty. And what we do know is that sticking with this development model is an extractive development model. If you're talking about Jamba Juice and these kinds of companies, those are about taking wealth out of the community. It's not what Davis has been about. It's not the values that we have for Davis. What we have is out-of-town developers and out-of-town businesses like Tykert driving this project for the community in a way that's not inconsistent with our values for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I personally want to thank everybody for taking time today on this, and on behalf of our board and the rest of our staff. Really, I think this is going to be very informative. I appreciate the professionalism, and this is going to be a great, I think, model that we're going to be able to put out there and make available to our membership. So on that note, we'll see what happens on June 7th. And until then, everybody have a great day.
Thank you
to
so
all
much
the
for
members.